Hello and welcome to Battle of Champions, coming to you live from Melbourne, because this is where the Indian juggernaut has now moved to play the final league game at the T20 World Cup. It's a must-win game versus Zimbabwe. We'll talk about that a little later in the program. Joining me live is our two cricket analysts in Harbhajan and Pragyan Ojha. But before I go to them and get their thoughts on India versus Zimbabwe, let's take a look at what's transpiring in the other group. The race for the semi-final is well and truly underway. The results today mean that the game between England and Sri Lanka is going to be very crucial as to decide who is the second semi-finalist, because New Zealand won their last game. They are through to the semi-final. Who will join them? That would be decided. Here's a closer look at all the permutation combinations in both the groups as far as the semi-final race is concerned.
New Zealand have now become the first and only team to officially qualify for the semi-finals from Group 1. First, they beat Ireland by 35 runs, and then Australia's narrow 4-run win over Afghanistan meant the defending champions can't go past the Kiwis, allowing New Zealand to sail through. Australia's semi-final hopes now rely on the game between England and Sri Lanka, where they would want the Islanders to win in Sydney on Saturday. While the picture for Group 1 will be clear on Saturday, in Group 2 there are some teams that are ahead in the race, but then there are others who are still in contention. Certainly, the last 4 race has intensified. In Group 2, which features India on top of the table, technically 5 teams have a chance to make it to the semis, however small or big it may be, with Netherlands the only team to be out of the reckoning. For Pakistan to qualify, first they need to beat Bangladesh and also hope that South Africa lose to Netherlands or that game is abandoned, which would mean that the Proteas can finish with a maximum of 6 points but a win less than Pakistan. The other scenario for Pakistan is that India lose their game against Zimbabwe and the men in green make it to the semi-finals with a superior net run rate. For South Africa to qualify, they have to beat the Netherlands. A loss or a washout may not be good enough for them, because in that case, the winner of Pakistan-Bangladesh will go through on the basis of more number of wins. For India, who are sitting pretty at the top with 6 points, they just need to beat Zimbabwe in their last game, and even a washout will be enough for their passage to the semi-finals. Even Bangladesh are not out of contention. First, they would need to beat Pakistan, and if South Africa get no more than 1 point from their game against the Netherlands, it should be enough for them to qualify. Theoretically, even Zimbabwe are not out of the race. Just that their net run rate is so poor that they will have to do a miracle against India and also hope for a few miracles in the other games. On Sunday, all 6 Group 2 teams will be in action, with South Africa taking on the Netherlands first, followed by the Pakistan-Bangladesh game in Adelaide. India will have the advantage of playing the last game from Group 2 and would know exactly what they need to do. Sports Bureau, India Today.
Okay, Harbhajan Singh and Pragyan Ojha join us live on the program. Harbhajan, I'll start with you. A T20 World Cup, what you want is a competitive tournament. Would you say that this has been very successful so far? Because going into the last league games, you still had about 8 contenders for the semi-finals.
Well, indeed, it is a very, very interesting situation there. From India's perspective, I would like to just say that India just need to win against Zimbabwe. Simple as that. And I'm sure which they will. And once they will win against Zimbabwe, I think the picture will be very clear. India will be on top. And of course, South Africa, which I feel will be the second team to qualify. And yes, Pakistan is hoping that if India get defeated from Zimbabwe and then Pakistan win their game against whoever they're going to play, and then obviously their run rate is at the moment better than India. But I think it will come down to that India beating Zimbabwe and Pakistan will have no hope going forward. This is what I believe. On cricketing sense, yes, any team can beat any team, which is the fact, and we have seen Zimbabwe beating Pakistan. But to beat India, they'll have to play very, very good cricket. But that's what Pakistan will hope.
Okay, Pragyan, let's talk about Group 1. Australia have won, barely I would say, versus Afghanistan. The only way but now that they can qualify for the semi-final is if Sri Lanka end up beating a very strong England side. Otherwise, the defending world champions are going to be out of the race. Do you see Sri Lanka doing that? Would that be an upset, or do you think we are underestimating Sri Lanka? Because at the moment, they're also the Asian champions.
As I told you right from the start of the tournament, it was very, very evident that because of the weather, net run rate is going to play a major role. So see, that's where we are all end of the day, we all are looking at that right now. And saying that, yes, Sri Lanka cannot be taken lightly. Yes, they didn't have a good outing in the World Cup. It was always scratchy for them. But one game can turn things around. So it is as simple as that. You have to beat a team to qualify, as simple as that. So till you have beaten or you have won the game, you should not be thinking that it will be easy. Same goes with the Indian team. You have to beat Zimbabwe and then be confident of going into the semi-finals, because still the tournament is open. Only way to seal is beat your opponent. And saying that, India must be also praying that it should not rain in MCG.
Okay, talking about what the Indian team must be thinking at the moment, Harbhajan, still all three scenarios are open. They could still, I know it's unlikely, they could still face someone like an Australian team. They could still face England, which seems more likely or the most likely option. But in an unlikely scenario, they could still face New Zealand as well. All that put together, what do you reckon? Which is that one opponent that you think India would like to face?
It doesn't matter. To win a competition, you have to face whether New Zealand, England, or Australia. You know that these are three top teams you're going to face in the semis or the finals. So just focus on one game at a time, and I'm sure everything will fall in place. It doesn't matter as a player. Who comes in front of you. Australia playing at home. They are not playing their best cricket. England, they have been very off color. New Zealand is one of the teams which have been doing really well. So, but India needs to know that, if they want to win the World Cup, they have to play and beat every possible team. And that's the way the competition goes. And I'm hoping that, they come through and bring the cup back.
Okay, I think Harbhajan Singh sums it up best when he says that, to win a tournament, you would want to win against any team that come up against you. We know we keep talking about New Zealand being a weaker side. Pragyan, I'll take that question to you. Keep talking about New Zealand being the weaker side that everyone would want to face, but you remember that New Zealand proved to be the bogey team. At the moment, the Indian team would do well to concentrate on that Zimbabwe game rather than think who they're going to be playing in the semi-final. What do you reckon? Can Zimbabwe or does Zimbabwe have that firepower to upset the Indian team? Because I remember Zimbabwe recently beat Bangladesh as well. Bangladesh ran India close. For all you know, this Zimbabwe team, which has beaten Pakistan, could be dangerous too.
See, if we get a full game, then I'm very sure India will beat Zimbabwe. But if it's a rain-affected game, if equations change, you never know. We saw that. I was very confident that India would have beaten Bangladesh convincingly had it not rained. But after it rained, things changed drastically, because the equations change. So it is very important that India plays those 20 full overs, like 40 overs, 20 overs each. Saying that, if you talk about the momentum, I believe a lot in that. If India beats Zimbabwe and goes on to play semi-finals, rather they would play someone like Australia or England, whoever from these two qualifies, rather than New Zealand, because New Zealand are a team which look confident and they are well balanced and they have the momentum with them. When you look at Australia and England, they don't have the momentum. They must be a good side when you look at them on the paper, but they have not done justice to what they can do. So that is the reason I'm saying, if you're thinking about that, then definitely India would love to play these two guys because they are looking for momentum. I'm talking about Australia and England.
Okay, one of the biggest positives to come for India in that game versus Bangladesh was KL Rahul striking some good form. Harbhajan, right time you'd say for KL Rahul to strike form, because considering how important he's been for the scheme of things of the Indian team, you would need him going forward in crucial games like the semi-final.
Oh, lovely to see him scoring runs. Obviously, a big relief. He showed that touch, that what KL is known for. And it's so lovely to see him scoring those 50. And of course, we would have liked him to score a few more. But yes, at least, he will carry this confidence going forward in next few games. And hopefully he'll get better from it and start scoring frequently.
All right, Pragya, let me come to you on the question of KL Rahul. We reported here on India Today, a day before that game in Adelaide, we saw Virat Kohli spend a lot of time with KL Rahul, and we could see from the gestures that clearly he was talking about the shot that he was getting out on, edging it, going into the slip. Clearly the advice from Virat Kohli seems to have done the trick for KL Rahul.
I think it is very important that a senior member, especially someone of Virat stature, talks to them. And I'm very sure this is not the first time that the team management or the senior players are discussing or trying to guide KL Rahul. But the only thing that I would say is it was a great knock against Bangladesh. But, from here on, he should just try and win that battle that he has, that we have always seen him have when he's especially playing against good bowling attack, which is like, mentally maybe somewhere he's trying to find himself. So that is something which he needs to put it back and focus on the class that he always shows us. So once he's focusing on that, we will always see him perform. At times what happens is he overthinks. That's what I feel, because when you look at his batting, it never looks like he's in any kind of discomfort. So it is all in the mind. I would again reinstate that he should be
Right.
focusing on his class.
Okay, KL Rahul, maybe what one needs from him is more consistent performances, as Pragyan is also pointing out, because that once he's in good form, he can take the match away from any team. Finally, before we wrap up, a word from you, Harbhajan, on Arshdeep Singh, just a young cricketer, has just made his debut for the Indian team this year, but with that left arm fast bowling, the short pitch balls that he's getting wickets with, the Yorkers he's getting on the mark. Do you think he's brought in a new dimension to the Indian team?
Yes, he is a brilliant bowler, and I've spoken about it. Earlier when he dropped the catch, the entire nation, not entire nation, but a lot of people actually went after him. But now, I've told everyone that he's a gold and he's going to come good for India, and that's exactly what I was hoping for. And I'm so happy and very very proud of him. He comes from that background with he's very humble, very hardworking kind of a guy, and so good to see his achievements and his graph. As international cricketer, every day he's gaining more fans, more respect, and so good to see. Somebody is filling the shoe of great Bumrah. Bumrah is not there, but he's not doing lesser work than what Bumrah would have done. I think once Bumrah will come, he'll find another great partner, bowling with him from the other end. That'll be Arshdeep Singh. So I'm so happy and very, very, very proud of him.